Friends, every time you come back here, I feel like we're walking this journey together. Welcome back to Fluent English Journey. My name's Tom, and today I want to let you in on something that changed the way I think about learning English. It's called the chunking method. Now, don't worry, it's not complicated at all. In fact, it's surprisingly simple but also incredibly powerful. If you've ever dreamed of speaking English smoothly, sounding natural, and even starting to think in English, then chunking might be exactly what you've been missing. In this lesson, I'm going to break it all down for you. I'll explain what chunking is, how it works, and most importantly, how you can start using it in your daily practice so that fluency becomes something you can actually feel, not just chase. And as always, I'll keep my voice slow and clear so you can follow along step by step. So, let's jump right in. First things first, what exactly is chunking? Let's strip it down to the basics. When we speak English, most learners try to build sentences word by word, like stacking bricks one on top of another. But let's be honest, that way is painfully slow. It's exhausting, it eats up your mental energy, and in the middle of a conversation, it can leave you frozen. And when that happens, you get nervous, you forget words, you lose the flow. I've been there and it's frustrating. But here's the good news, there's a smarter way. Instead of dragging words together one at a time, you can use chunks. So what's a chunk? A chunk is just a small group of words that naturally belong together. Think of them like ready-made pieces of English. You don't need to build them from scratch. You just take them as they are and drop them into your conversation. Like Lego blocks, you snap them in, and suddenly the picture makes sense. Let me show you. You already know plenty of chunks. How's it going? I don't think so. Let me think. Long time no see. Have a nice day. No worries. It depends. These are all chunks. You don't pause and spell them out word by word. You don't say, how is it going? Slowly like a robot. You say, how's it going? Smooth, natural, one unit. That's why chunks are so powerful. Because when you learn a chunk, you're not just memorizing random words, you're capturing a whole idea. You know when to use it. You know how it feels in your mouth. And the best part? It makes you sound confident, not hesitant. Let's try it together. I'll say the phrase and you repeat after me. How's it going? Good. I don't think so. Nice. Let me think. Perfect. Do you feel that? You're not just repeating vocabulary. You're practicing real English blocks. This is the heart of the chunking method. And let me tell you, once you've got 20, 30, maybe 50 of these chunks in your pocket, you'll be able to hold real conversations without stopping to translate, without overthinking, and without fear. Now that you know what chunking is, let's dig into why it's such a game changer. Think about this. When you try to speak word by word, your brain is running a marathon. You've got to remember the vocabulary, pick the right grammar, choose the right structure, and by the time you've figured it out, the conversation has already moved on. That's when you get stuck. You pause. You feel anxious. Your confidence drops. But imagine this instead. What if you could pull out an entire phrase, an entire sentence, without even thinking? You just say it smooth, natural, correct. That's chunking. It shifts your brain from struggling with words to communicating ideas. That's also how native speakers do it. They don't build sentences from zero. They don't sit there thinking, I need a subject, a verb, and an object. No way. They're using ready-made expressions, little blocks of English they've heard thousands of times. And when you do the same, you sound more natural, you speak faster, and you feel more confident, because your brain is finally free to focus on meaning instead of mechanics. Here's the key point. When you use chunks, your brain does less thinking and more communicating. That's the whole goal. To speak from feeling, not from fear. To use patterns, not scattered pieces. And here's another bonus. Once you start listening closely, you'll notice something amazing. You'll hear the same phrases pop up again and again in real conversations. Things like, I'm not sure. Let me check. It's up to you. Those, my friend, are chunks, and the more you catch them, the more natural English becomes. After a while, you'll start to notice these chunks popping up everywhere. At first, they may sound new, but the more you hear them, the more familiar they become. Little by little, they'll sink into your memory until they feel like part of your own English. You won't even need to force yourself to memorize them. Just by hearing them over and over, they'll become second nature. And here's the magic. The more you actually use these chunks, the more fluent and natural you'll sound. That's why I like to say chunking isn't just a technique. It's not just a method, it's a mindset. It's a way of training your brain to think in English instead of translating word by word. With chunking, you don't have to learn 1,000 complicated grammar rules. You don't have to stop and rebuild sentences like a puzzle. All you need is to know the right expression and use it as a complete unit. Now let's go a little deeper. I want to give you some everyday, real-life examples of chunks. Remember, chunks aren't grammar formulas, and they're not random strings of words. They're natural phrases, things people actually say in conversations every single day. So, let's take them one at a time. Slowly, clearly. The first one, I'm on my way. This simply means, I'm coming, or I'm heading to you now. You don't need to struggle with something long and awkward like, now I go to the place where you are. No, that's way too slow and unnatural. Instead, you just say, I'm on my way. Short, clear, smooth. That's chunking in action. Here's another one. Let's keep in touch. We use this when we want to stay connected with someone. Maybe a new friend, a classmate, or a coworker after finishing a project. Instead of overthinking, you just say, let's keep in touch. It's a perfect goodbye phrase, and you don't need to worry about grammar. Just use it as it is. Next, that's not the point. This one is useful in discussions or arguments. When someone is missing the main idea, you can cut through the noise by saying, that's not the point. Simple, strong, clear. And another common one, that makes sense. We use this all the time when something feels logical, when something becomes clear. Maybe a friend explains a problem and suddenly it clicks. You nod and say, that makes sense. It's short, natural, and shows you understood. Do you see the pattern here? Every one of these phrases is already complete. Each chunk carries a whole meaning. You don't need to piece it together word by word. That's the beauty of chunking. It saves you time, it saves your brain power, and it makes your English sound authentic. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, Tom, these chunks are great, but how do I actually learn them? That's a smart question, and I'll walk you through it step by step. Step 1, listen carefully. Really pay attention to how people speak English, in movies, in podcasts, in shows, even in everyday conversations. Notice the phrases that keep coming up. They repeat for a reason. They're real, natural English. Step 2, write them down. Don't just trust your memory, because memories fade. Pull out your notebook or your phone and write the chunk exactly as you heard it. Jot down the situation too. Who said it? What was the emotion? Were they happy, serious, surprised? This context will help you remember when to use it, not just what it means. Step 3. Say it out loud. This is critical. Don't just read chunks silently. Speak them, even if no one's around. Even if it feels a little silly. Your mouth needs to practice the rhythm. Your tongue needs to get comfortable. Your brain needs to link the sound, the meaning, and the emotion together. And over time, those chunks will roll out of you automatically, without stress, without translation. Step 4, review often. Chunks are like plants. You've got to water them if you want them to grow. Open your notes every few days, say them out loud. Try them in new sentences. Even 5 minutes a day makes a huge difference. And here's a bonus tip. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just learn 2 or 3 chunks a day. That's plenty. Maybe you pick them up from a TV show. Maybe from this episode. Maybe from a chat with a friend. But keep it small, keep it real, and it'll stick. For example, let me know. I'm on it. I'm not in the mood. These are short, useful, and easy to remember. So let's wrap up. Today, we explored the chunking method. You learned what it is, why it works, and how to start using it right away. Remember this. English becomes so much easier when you stop speaking word by word and start speaking phrase by phrase. Even just a few chunks a day can transform your fluency. So keep listening, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. I'm Tom. This is Fluent English Journey, and I want to thank you for joining me. Until next time, keep going strong, and I'll see you in the next episode.